The galaxy had long watched Earth, seeing it as little more than a speck in the vastness of space. The humans, for all their noise and ambition, were considered primitive, hardly a threat to the grand civilizations that ruled the stars. But the Volar, a powerful and ancient alien empire, had begun to grow restless. They had seen the potential in Earth, and they saw a chance to claim it for their own. On the day of the ultimatum, the Volar fleet hovered above Earth's atmosphere, enormous ships blotting out the sun. Their cold, emotionless voices echoed through every communication channel on the planet, filling the hearts of every human with dread. Humanity! The Volar commander's voice boomed across Earth's airwaves. You are given a choice. Submit to our rule and bow to the Volar Empire, or face total destruction. We will not wait long for your answer. Your time has come. The world fell silent. Leaders of nations stared at the screens, faces pale, their hands trembling. What could they do? The Volar had proven themselves to be ruthless conquerors, and the very sight of their fleet was enough to send shivers down the spine of even the most battle-hardened soldier. Back in the heart of Earth's government, the situation was chaotic. In the war room, generals, scientists, and political leaders gathered, staring at the images of the Volar ships. We can't just give up, General Harris said, slamming his fist against the table. We need to fight back. There must be something we can do. But what? President Carter asked, her voice barely a whisper. Their fleet is far beyond anything we've ever seen. We don't have the power to stop them. But the general's eyes burned with something different, determination. We may not have the numbers, but we have something they don't know about, something they never expected. I'll show you. He turned to his side, where a technician had been waiting. The man stepped forward, holding a small device. It was a map of Earth's military defenses, but something about it seemed different. We've had this under wraps for years, the technician said quietly. The Black Armada. The name hit like a thunderclap. The Black Armada was a secret fleet of warships, far more advanced than anything the Volar could imagine. Built in the shadows, these ships had been designed for one purpose, to protect Earth when the time came. And now the time had come. We're going to fight fire with fire, General Harris said, his voice steady. The Black Armada will show them what humanity is capable of. The Volar's ships were closing in on Earth, their powerful weapons ready to reduce cities to ash. As they prepared to launch their attack, they received an unexpected transmission. The screens flickered, and the Volar commander's face appeared in front of them. What is this? He growled. Suddenly a massive silhouette appeared in front of the Volar fleet. It was the first of the Black Armada, the Guardian. It was like nothing the Volar had ever seen before. The size of the ship was staggering, dwarfing anything in their fleet. Its surface was pitch black, reflecting no light, making it seem as though it was a hole in space itself. The Volar commander's voice shook slightly. Impossible. How could humanity possess such a ship? Before he could process this new development, a deep, low hum filled the air. The Guardian's engines powered up with a force that made the surrounding ships tremble. The humans had known they couldn't just defend Earth, they needed to strike first. The Volar fleet quickly repositioned itself, ready to retaliate. But the humans were faster. The Guardian fired its first shot, an energy beam so powerful that it tore through the Volar's lead ship in a single blast, reducing it to nothing but debris. The Volar were stunned. This was not the response they expected. They had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. On Earth, the world watched in awe as the battle unfolded in the sky. News stations broadcast the incredible events live, and civilians cheered as humanity's first strike pushed back the Volar. But the battle was far from over. The Volar regrouped and sent reinforcements, massive, fleets that appeared on the edges of Earth's atmosphere, their dark shapes forming a menacing wall. They had made their move, and now it was time to see if humanity's Black Armada could stand up to the sheer power of their numbers. Back at Earth's command center, President Carter watched the monitors, her face grim. General Harris, she asked, can the Black Armada hold them off? We don't have a choice, Harris replied. We must. The Black Armada was built for this moment. Humanity's future depends on it. The fight raged on for hours, a violent dance between the two fleets. Humanity's ships were smaller, more agile, but their firepower was unmatched. The Volar ships, though larger and more numerous, couldn't match the speed and precision of the Black Armada. One by one, their ships were torn apart as the Guardian and its fleet swept through them, striking hard and fast. Then, in the middle of the chaos, a voice came through the communication channel. It was from the Volar commander. "Enough!" he bellowed, his frustration evident. "You've won this battle, but you will never win the war. The galaxy will never let Earth stand alone. We will be back." And with that, the Volar fleet retreated, leaving Earth's skies silent for the first time in hours. The threat was far from over, but humanity had proven something crucial. They were not to be underestimated. As President Carter watched the retreating ships on the monitor, she let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Earth had won this round. But the war was only just beginning. The news spread like wildfire across Earth. Humanity had just defeated the Volar's first strike, sending their fleet retreating into the darkness of space. The victory was short-lived, however, as the Volar had promised to return. And Earth's leaders knew that their enemies would not be so easily defeated again. At Earth's military command center, President Carter and General Harris stood in front of the large map, displaying Earth's orbital defenses. The Black Armada had already been mobilized, but the Volar had regrouped, and new, more advanced ships were now on their way. The galaxy watched as humanity held its ground, but for how long? "We can't rely on the Black Armada forever," General Harris said, his voice heavy with concern. "If we're going to survive, we need more than just firepower. We need to be smarter, faster." President Carter nodded, her brow furrowed. "I agree. But what do we have that they don't know about? We need an edge." Harris turned to one of his officers, who quickly brought up a new set of coordinates on the screen. "We've been working on something in secret for years," the officer said. "The first weapon we've built is ready. It's time to show the Volar what humanity can really do." The officer pressed a button, and a video feed began playing on the screen. The images showed a massive underground facility, its walls reinforced with the strongest materials available. Inside, a strange mechanical structure loomed, unlike anything Earth had ever seen. The technology was far beyond anything the Volar had, and it was Earth's last best hope. "That's a new kind of weapon?" President Carter asked, eyes wide with disbelief. "Yes," the officer replied. "We've been calling it the pulse cannon. It's a weapon that harnesses the power of a collapsing star. With it, we can disable entire fleets in seconds. But it needs to be fired from a specific point in space, and the Volar are already moving closer to that area." "We don't have much time," President Carter said, taking a deep breath. "Prepare the pulse cannon. Let's show them that humanity isn't just some small, weak species." As the Volar fleet neared Earth, the tension in space was palpable. Their ships, far more advanced than before, seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly glow. The Volar had learned from their last mistake, and they had no intention of retreating this time. Their fleet moved with precision, and they had brought their strongest warships to finish what they had started. "We will destroy this planet and take what's ours," the Volar commander growled, his cold eyes narrowed. "Let's see how they respond this time." The Volar ships surged forward, their weapons powered up, ready to tear through Earth's defenses. But as they entered Earth's orbit, something unexpected happened. The sky flickered. A large, unfamiliar energy signature appeared out of nowhere. The Volar fleet hesitated, unsure of what was happening. The first sign of humanity's counterattack came when the pulse cannon, hidden on one of Earth's largest space stations, powered up. It was the size of a city block, its core pulsing with dangerous energy. The moment it charged, its massive barrel pointed toward the Volar fleet. The weapon hummed with power as Earth's command center held its breath, firing in 3, 2. The technician's voice cracked with tension as the countdown began. The Volar fleet turned in panic, trying to escape the beam's range. But it was too late. With a deafening roar, the pulse cannon fired a beam of pure, concentrated energy that raced toward the heart of the Voller Armada. The beam struck their largest warship first, splitting it in two. The destruction was immediate and catastrophic. The shock wave from the blast rippled through space, knocking several Voller ships off course. The remaining fleet tried to regroup, but the pulse cannon was relentless. It fired again and again, taking down ship after ship until the once mighty Voller fleet was nothing more than a cloud of debris. Earth's command center erupted in cheers as the pulse cannon's work was done. But as the dust settled, the Voller commander's voice crackled through the communication channels. "Impressive," he said, his tone cold and filled with rage. "But you've only delayed the inevitable. We will come back. The galaxy will never accept you as a power. Prepare yourselves, Earth." President Carter and General Harris exchanged grim looks as the Voller commander's words sank in. They had won this battle, but the war was far from over. The pulse cannon had proven humanity's strength, but it had also shown the Voller that they were far from defeated. It was only a matter of time before they returned, stronger, angrier, and more determined. On Earth, as the news spread that the Voller had been defeated, people celebrated, but it was a quiet, nervous kind of celebration. They knew deep down that the victory was only temporary. The Voller would return, and when they did, they would be stronger than ever. Humanity had taken its first step toward defending itself, but the journey ahead was uncertain. In space, far from Earth's orbit, the Voller fleet regrouped. Their ships had suffered heavy losses, but they were not beaten. The Voller commander stood before his officers, his fists clenched in anger. "We underestimated them," he growled, "but we will not make that mistake again. Prepare the next phase of our invasion. This time, we will crush Earth once and for all." Back at Earth's command center, President Carter and General Harris prepared for the worst. They knew that the Voller would return, but they also knew that humanity had proven something crucial. They were not a species to be ignored. They had shown the galaxy that Earth could fight back, and they would continue to do so, no matter what came next. As the days passed and the Voller forces slowly rebuilt, Earth's defenses were upgraded. Humanity's military strength was now known throughout the galaxy, and the next battle would determine whether Earth could truly stand on its own, or whether it would fall to the overwhelming power of the Voller. But for now, humanity's future remained uncertain. The fight was far from over. The Voller fleet was silent, hovering just beyond Earth's orbit, the vast blackness of space stretching out behind them. They had lost the last battle, but that had only made them angrier. The human weapons were powerful, but the Voller were far from defeated. They were recalibrating their plans, adjusting their tactics, and soon they would be back. This time they would be unstoppable. In Earth's command center, President Carter paced in front of the large display. The image of the Voller fleet flickered, and a voice came through the speaker. "President Carter, the Voller are preparing for something bigger this time," General Harris said, his face tense. "We need to act fast before they reach Earth." Carter's eyes narrowed. "We've already thrown everything we have at them. What else can we do?" Harris hesitated for a moment. "There's one more option, but it's risky. We've been developing a new type of technology, one we haven't tested yet. If it works, we could turn the tide in our favor." Carter stepped closer to him. "What's the plan?" "We've created a prototype that could disrupt the Voller fleet's coordination. It's a device that emits a signal strong enough to scramble their communication systems. If we deploy it, we could create chaos within their ranks, leave them vulnerable. But we have no idea how effective it will be. It could backfire." Carter clenched her jaw. "The decision was not an easy one." "Then we don't have much choice, do we?" In space, the Voller fleet continued to prepare for their second assault on Earth. Their warships had been reinforced, their weapons recalibrated. They had learned from the last battle, and they knew what they were up against. The commander of the Voller fleet, a cold and calculating figure, stood before his officers, his hands folded behind his back. "Earth may have struck us down once, but we will return stronger." he said, his voice unwavering. "We will break their defenses and show them the true might of the Volar Empire. Prepare to strike." As his orders were carried out, the Volar ships began to move into position, aligning themselves for the final push toward Earth. Their weapons were charged, and their fleet was poised to strike. But just as they began their approach, the signal hit. A sudden, overpowering force washed over their communication systems. Their command channels flickered, their tactics disrupted. For the first time, chaos spread through their ranks. The Volar commander stood in shock as he watched the confusion unfold on his screens. "What is this? What's happening?" His officers scrambled to regain control, but it was too late. The human device had worked. Back at Earth's command center, President Carter and General Harris watched the Volar fleet's confusion unfold on the large display. The device had been deployed, and it was working better than they had hoped. The Volar ships were scattering, their once precise movements now erratic and uncoordinated. "Now's our chance," Harris said, his voice filled with urgency. "We need to launch a counterattack while they're vulnerable." Carter nodded. "Send the Black Armada. It's time to finish this." The Black Armada had been waiting, hidden in the shadows of Earth's orbit, ready to strike at the first sign of weakness. As the Volar fleet faltered, Earth's ships moved into position. The Guardian, the largest and most powerful of Earth's warships, led the charge, its engines roaring to life as it surged forward. Flanked by the rest of the fleet, the Volar fleet, disoriented and scrambling to restore their communication systems, tried to regroup. But it was too late. The Black Armada descended on them with the fury of a thunderstorm, their weapons cutting through the Volar ships like a hot knife through butter. The battle was intense, but the Volar were no match for the speed and firepower of the Black Armada. One by one their ships fell, their once formidable fleet crumbling under the weight of humanity's retaliation. But just as Earth's forces began to celebrate their victory, something unexpected happened. A massive ship, unlike anything they had ever seen before, emerged from the depths of the Volar fleet. It was enormous, its sleek black surface reflecting the stars around it. The ship's weapons powered up, and for a moment everything went still. "That's their ultimate weapon," General Harris whispered, his eyes widening. "They've been saving it for this moment." The Volar's ultimate warship fired a massive energy beam that split the sky, sending a shockwave through space. The Guardian, leading the charge, was caught directly in the beam's path. It exploded in a blinding flash, leaving nothing but debris in its wake. The loss was staggering. Earth's forces, though powerful, had lost their flagship. For a moment, it seemed like the battle was slipping away from them. But President Carter's eyes hardened as she watched the destruction unfold. "We won't back down," she said, her voice firm. "We have to keep pushing." As the Black Armada regrouped, the Volar's ultimate warship continued to strike, tearing through the remaining Earth ships. The battle was nearing its breaking point. Yet just when it seemed humanity would be defeated, a new wave of reinforcements arrived from Earth's hidden fleet. They were equipped with the newest weapons Earth had developed, faster and more powerful than anything before. The final battle was fierce. The Volar ultimate warship, despite its immense power, began to fall under the relentless attacks from Earth's fleet. Slowly, its shields began to crack, its weapons faltered. In a final, desperate attempt, the Volar commander ordered everything he had left to be focused on Earth's ships. But it wasn't enough. With one final coordinated strike, the Volar ultimate warship was destroyed in a spectacular explosion that shook the stars. The Volar fleet, now leaderless and shattered, retreated, leaving Earth victorious once again. Back on Earth, the news was met with relief and joy. The Volar had been defeated, and for the first time, humanity had stood up to an alien empire and won. But President Carter knew that this victory was only temporary. The Volar would return, of that she was certain. But now, humanity had proven that it could fight, and it could win. As Earth's forces began to rebuild, Carter stood at the command center, looking out at the stars. "This is just the beginning," she said quietly to herself. "We will always be ready." And as the galaxy watched, humanity's reputation grew. No longer just a weak, insignificant species. Earth had shown that when pushed to the edge, it would fight with everything it had, and that was something the Vola would never forget. The silence of space was suddenly shattered by the deafening hum of Earth's defense systems. As the Vola fleet regrouped, its warships now more powerful and organized than ever before, it was clear the Vola were not going to stop until they had destroyed humanity. In Earth's military command center, President Carter stared at the large screen showing the approaching Vola fleet. Each ship was a giant, a machine of destruction, and they were closing in faster than ever. The pulse cannon had been a success, but it was only a temporary victory. The Volor had learned from their previous mistakes. They would not let the humans catch them off guard again. "General Harris," President Carter said, her voice sharp. "What's our next move?" "We can't afford another ambush." Harris looked grim. "We need to prepare for their final assault. Their ultimate warship may be down, but their fleet is still intact. If we don't act quickly, Earth will be destroyed." He turned to the screen, pointing to the Volor ships gathering at the edge of Earth's orbit. "We've tried everything. Our weapons are strong, but they're stronger. We need a new strategy." "Then we create one," Carter said. "Send the Black Armada out. But this time, we need to do something unexpected. We need to get inside their minds." In the heart of the Vola fleet, the commander stood, his eyes fixed on the battle screens. His ships had been destroyed, his forces in disarray. The humans were stronger than anticipated, but they were still nothing compared to the Vola Empire. He clenched his fists in frustration. "We underestimated them," he muttered. "But this time, we'll make sure there is no escape for Earth. Prepare the fleet. We'll strike at their heart." His second-in-command nodded. "What about the new plan, Commander? Should we use it now?" The commander hesitated for a moment. The new plan was risky, but it was their only chance. "Yes, activate the cloaking device. We'll strike from within their defenses. They won't know what hit them." Back on Earth, the Black Armada was ready for action. The enormous warships, sleek and intimidating, waited in the shadows of Earth's orbit. Their crews were prepared for the fight of their lives. General Harris stood at the center of the command room, his hand on the map of Earth's defenses. "We have to outsmart them," he said to his team. "The Volor are more powerful, but we've got one thing they don't: unpredictability. We need to confuse them. We need them to believe they're winning before we strike." President Carter's voice cut through the tension. "Give them everything they want, and then hit them where it hurts." Harris nodded, his face filled with determination. "Yes, ma'am." It's time to turn the tables. The Vola fleet moved forward, their massive warships closing in on Earth. With each passing moment, the pressure mounted. They were almost within firing range when something strange happened. A single Black Armada ship, the Guardian, emerged from the shadows. It was huge, its dark surface gleaming ominously as it powered up its engines. At first, the Vola didn't react. They had seen the Guardian before, and it had fallen in the last battle. But this time, it was different. The ship didn't open fire immediately. Instead, it slowly turned, as if giving them the chance to strike first. The Vola commander smiled, sensing an easy victory. "Prepare to fire," he commanded, ready to unleash their weapons. Just as the Vola fleet began to charge their weapons, a massive explosion erupted across the fleet's front lines. The Vola commander's face paled. It wasn't the humans firing. Something else had happened. The Volor ships began to stagger, losing their alignment, unable to focus on one target. "What's going on?" he shouted. His second-in-command looked at the control screens, eyes wide with disbelief. "It's the cloaking device. It's been activated." The fleet, once organized, was now completely disoriented. It was as if the entire Vola Armada had turned into a chaotic mess of floating ships, each one firing blindly. The Black Armada had done the unthinkable. They had used the Vola's own weapon against them, cloaking their ships from view, leaving the Vola vulnerable and unable to retaliate effectively. The Vola fleet was in turmoil. Ships were firing at random, their own weapons turning against each other. This was the moment humanity had been waiting for. General Harris watched the chaos unfold, knowing they had no time to waste. "We need to take them out now." he shouted. The Black Armada's warships moved in swiftly, picking off the disoriented Volor ships one by one. The chaos within their ranks worked to humanity's advantage. The Volor had been confident in their ability to crush Earth, but now they were being torn apart from within. On Earth's command center, President Carter watched the scene unfold with a tense expression. She had hoped this strategy would work, but she hadn't expected the Volor to react so dramatically. "This is our chance," Harris said, his voice filled with urgency. "We need to hit their command ship now. It's the only thing still holding them together." With the Volor in disarray, Earth's forces moved toward their final objective, the Volor command ship. It was massive, protected by a shield so strong that even Earth's most advanced weapons would struggle to break through. But the Black Armada had a new weapon, a focused energy blast capable of penetrating the toughest shields. General Harris nodded. "Prepare the cannon. We've only got one shot at this." The Black Armada's warships took their positions, surrounding the Volor command ship from all angles. The atmosphere was tense as Earth's forces locked on their target. And then, with a single coordinated blast, the energy cannon fired. The beam tore through the Volor command ship's shield like paper, and with a tremendous explosion, the ship was destroyed. The remaining Volor ships, leaderless and crippled, began to retreat into the void. Earth's forces did not let up. With one final push, they finished off the last of the Volor fleet. Back on Earth, the battle was over. The Volor had been defeated, and humanity had once again proven its resilience. The people cheered in the streets, celebrating the victory that had seemed impossible just days before. But President Carter and General Harris knew that the war was far from over. The Volor would regroup, and the galaxy would take notice of humanity's newfound strength. Earth had become a force to be reckoned with. "We won," Carter said quietly, staring out at the horizon. "But this is just the beginning." Harris stood beside her, watching as the people celebrated. "Yes, ma'am. We've proven that humanity will never back down, and we'll keep fighting no matter what comes next." The battle for Earth had been won, but the war was far from over. The victory over the Volor had been hard won, but humanity's celebration was cut short. Earth's forces were still recovering, but they knew that the Volor would not let this defeat go unanswered. General Harris stood in the command room, his eyes fixed on the large screen, showing the remnants of the Volor fleet slowly retreating into the darkness of space. "General, what's next?" President Carter's voice broke through the silence. She stood beside him, her expression serious. The excitement of the recent victory had faded quickly, replaced by the heavy weight of uncertainty. "We need to regroup and strengthen our defenses," Harris replied, his voice filled with urgency. "The Volor will be back, and they'll come with everything they have. We've caught them off guard before, but we can't rely on luck again." President Carter nodded. "I agree. The Volor will learn from their mistakes. We can't afford another ambush. We need to be ready." As the days passed, Earth's military forces worked tirelessly to upgrade their weapons and defenses. The Black Armada, the symbol of Earth's power, was refitted with the latest technology. The new pulse cannons were installed, and smaller ships were equipped with cloaking devices to surprise any enemy fleet that dared approach. But no one knew how long it would take before the Volor returned. Meanwhile, light years away, the Volor commander stood before his officers, his anger barely contained. The defeat was a bitter pill to swallow. He had underestimated humanity, and now the galaxy would know their strength. "We made a mistake," the commander growled. "Humanity isn't weak. They've shown us that. But they've also shown us something else. They're not ready for what's coming. The Black Armada was a powerful weapon, but it's nothing compared to what we've got next." His second-in-command stepped forward, a cold, calculating look on her face. "Commander, our forces have been rebuilt. The new fleet is ready. We've adjusted our tactics. This time, we won't just destroy Earth's fleet, we'll break them." The commander's eyes narrowed. "I want the full force of our fleet ready for the next assault. But this time, we're not going to give them a chance to strike first. We're going to hit them harder and faster than they ever imagined. Back on Earth, the countdown to the next battle had begun. Humanity's forces, though battered, were ready. But President Carter knew that the Vola had learned from their mistakes, and they would return with everything they had. We can't afford to let them regroup. We have to hit them before they're fully prepared, Carter said as she addressed General Harris and the rest of the command team. Harris looked at the map of Earth's defenses, his finger tracing the coordinates. If we strike now, we might catch them off guard, but we're taking a big risk. We don't know exactly where they're hiding their new fleet. We don't have a choice, Carter replied. We have to act before they have time to retaliate. In the cold void of space, the Vola fleet moved silently, their ships cloaked and hidden within the shadows of distant stars. The new fleet was massive, more advanced than anything humanity had ever seen. The Vola had learned from their previous failure, and this time they were prepared for anything. But as their fleet neared Earth, something unexpected happened. One of the smaller ships in the Vola fleet malfunctioned, sending a warning signal across their network. The commander's face twisted in anger. "Who's responsible for this?" he demanded. The officer at the control panel looked nervously at the commander. "It's a malfunction in one of the secondary ships, sir. We're working on it, but it's slowing our progress." The commander's patience wore thin. "Fix it, now." As the officer scrambled to fix the issue, the rest of the fleet continued to move forward. The Vola were ready, and they wouldn't let anything stand in their way. But as they neared Earth's defenses, they were met with a shocking discovery. The Black Armada, which they thought had been scattered and weakened, was waiting for them. On Earth, the Black Armada's warships powered up, their engines humming with the energy of fully charged weapons. The Vola were closer than ever before, and humanity was ready. General Harris stood before the Black Armada's control center, his hand resting on the map. "Activate the cloaking devices," he ordered, his voice steady. "We need to surprise them. Let them think we're still rebuilding. Then when they least expect it, we strike." The Black Armada's ships disappeared into the darkness of space, invisible to the Vola fleet. Harris knew that this would be the moment that decided the war. The Vola fleet, now aware that they were entering a trap, scrambled to respond. Their massive warships moved in tight formation, their weapons primed, ready to engage. But as they entered Earth's orbit, the first wave of attacks came. The Black Armada fired from every direction, their weapons tearing through the Vola ships before they even had a chance to react. The Vola commander growled in frustration, his hands clenched at his sides. "We're under attack! Respond! All ships retaliate!" But it was too late. The Vola ships, disoriented and scattered, couldn't withstand the onslaught. One by one, their ships were destroyed, their once proud fleet crumbling under the power of Earth's defenses. The commander watched in disbelief as his fleet was torn apart. "Impossible," he shouted. "How could this happen again?" As his fleet began to fall apart, he gave the order to retreat. "Pull back. We've lost this battle, but we will return. Humanity will never be safe." On Earth, the news of the victory spread quickly. Humanity had won again, but this time, the victory felt different. It wasn't just about winning a battle, it was about showing the galaxy that Earth was not to be underestimated. President Carter stood in front of her team, her expression proud but cautious. "We've won today, but the Vola will come again. We need to be ready." "We can't stop now," General Harris nodded. "We've proven we can fight. And we'll keep fighting." Earth had won this battle, but the war was far from over. The Vola would regroup, and the next fight would be even harder. But humanity had shown that it could stand against the greatest forces in the galaxy, and that, no matter what, Earth would never surrender. The Vola had retreated once again, but it was clear to everyone on Earth that their victory was fleeting. As General Harris stared at the quiet screens of Earth's command center, the weight of the war ahead pressed heavily on him. The Vola commander had already promised retaliation, and humanity's forces couldn't afford to get complacent. "General Harris," President Carter said, her voice cutting through the silence, "what's the status on our defenses?" "We've fortified our position as best we can," Harris replied, his tone grim. "The Black Armada is ready, and our weapons are fully operational, but What? Carter's gaze sharpened. We don't know when they'll come, Harris continued, turning toward the screen that displayed the retreating Voller fleet. They've been rebuilding, and they've learned from every battle. We can't count on surprise anymore. The tension in the room thickened. Earth had been lucky twice, but luck had limits. Carter let out a deep breath, trying to keep her composure. We need more than just luck, she said, staring at the map of Earth's defenses. We need to end this once and for all. Meanwhile, far from Earth, the Voller fleet was regrouping. The damage they'd taken was significant, but the commander was not one to accept defeat. He stood in his war room, his officers gathered around him, the weight of their failure hanging in the air. Earth has proven stronger than we thought, the commander said, his voice low with frustration. But this won't happen again. We've been given a second chance, and we will make sure humanity never rises against us again. One of his officers, a strategist known for her cold logic, spoke up. Commander, we've been working on something new. A weapon, unlike anything the humans have seen. It will give us the upper hand. We launch it now, and Earth's defenses will fall. The commander looked at her, his eyes narrowing. What do you propose? A signal jammer, she replied. We can disrupt their communication systems entirely. If we disable their coordination, their defenses will crumble. They won't even know what hit them. The commander considered it for a moment. Do it. We will hit them where it hurts, and this time they won't recover. Back on Earth, the days following the last victory were filled with tense preparation. The Black Armada's warships moved quietly in space, hidden from sight, their engines idling. General Harris worked day and night with the military leaders to make sure that everything was ready for the inevitable Voller counterattack. But even he couldn't shake the growing sense of unease. We can't predict what they're planning, Harris muttered as he walked into the command center, wiping sweat from his brow. They're going to come at us with everything they have. President Carter was already there, standing in front of a large holographic map. She turned to him, her face serious. Then we'll fight with everything we have. The Voller fleet moved silently toward Earth, their ships cloaked and their signals scrambled. They knew that Earth was watching, waiting for their next move. But this time, the Voller commander had a different plan. His ships moved in tight formation, avoiding detection while they prepared the signal jammer that would cripple Earth's defenses. We're almost in position, the commander's second-in-command said, her voice filled with anticipation. Once we deploy the jammer, the humans will be blind. We'll strike before they even know we're here. The commander nodded. Once we disable their communication, we'll break through their defenses easily. Earth will fall. As the Voller fleet entered Earth's orbit, General Harris watched from the command center, eyes fixed on the screens. He had a bad feeling something wasn't right. The Voller were moving faster than he expected, and their ships were eerily quiet. Something had changed. General, one of the technicians called, her voice urgent. The Voller fleet is activating some kind of signal. It's a jamming signal. They're trying to disable our communications. Harris's heart raced. They've figured it out, he said, his voice tight. They're going to try to blind us. Can we stop it? Carter asked, turning toward him. We have to try, Harris replied, his mind already working through the possibilities. Get me the signal disruptors. If we can't block their jammer, we're blind. We won't be able to coordinate the Black Armada. We'll have to fight without orders. On the battlefield, chaos erupted as the Voller ships unleashed their attack. The Black Armada had already been caught off guard by the disruption of their communications, and the Voller knew they had the advantage. Earth's warships were disoriented, unable to respond in time. The Voller attacked with precision, hitting Earth's forces hard and fast. We've got to get the communication systems back online, Harris shouted over the noise in the command center. If we can't fight back, we lose! One of the officers worked furiously at a console, his fingers flying across the controls. We're trying, General, but the signal is too strong. We're running out of time. In the midst of the chaos, Earth's forces were beginning to break. The Voller were everywhere, their ships raining destruction down on Earth's defenses. The Black Armada, once a symbol of humanity's strength, was now struggling to respond. We've got to do something, Carter said, her voice almost lost in the noise. We can't just sit here and wait to be defeated. Harris's eyes flashed with realization. We can't rely on the communications, but we still have something they don't know about. He turned to the lead officer. Activate the secondary fleet, the one they didn't see coming. The officer hesitated. General, that fleet hasn't been used in over a decade. It's a risk. We don't have a choice, Harris said, his voice hard with resolve. Activate it now. Suddenly, as if summoned from the depths of Earth's reserves, a new fleet emerged from the shadows. Smaller, faster ships, built for speed rather than brute strength, shot forward, catching the Vola completely by surprise. These ships, though not as powerful as the Black Armada, were nimble, and they knew how to strike fast and hard. The Vola fleet, already stretched thin, scrambled to adjust. They had no response to the unexpected assault. Earth's secondary fleet attacked with everything it had, disrupting the Vola's carefully laid plans. We've got them, Carter exclaimed, watching as the Vola forces began to break apart. Now's our chance. The battle shifted quickly. The Vola, overwhelmed by the unexpected counterattack, began to retreat. Their once proud fleet scattered, their ships fleeing in all directions. Earth's secondary fleet had turned the tide. With the Vola retreating once again, President Carter and General Harris stood in the command center, watching the destruction unfold on the screens. Earth had won another battle, but this time it felt different. They had been forced to fight without communication, without coordination, and yet they had prevailed. We did it, Carter said quietly, her voice filled with disbelief. Harris nodded. We did. But we're not done yet. The Volor will be back. And next time, we need to be ready. The war was far from over, but humanity had shown the galaxy that no matter the odds, Earth would fight back and never give up.